Welcome. I saw this cute bee wreath on Facebook and I had to seek it out, and I found out that Circle Z Wreath is the original creator, and Julie's Wreath Boutique is where I learned how to put this together. So I'm going to attempt making this with some mesh that I found on Amazon, these 3 rolls for $34.99. So stay tuned to see my version of it. To start out, I cut 10-inch squares, and I did 8 of the black, 9 of the yellow and black, and 9 of the plain yellow. So for the center, I purchased this mesh sheets that you can get on Amazon, and I'm just doing a circle so that I can attach it to the wreath form. Now I'm just cutting it out. Don't use your fabric scissors on this, you don't want to ruin them. So now you want to get your wreath frame, which these are 8-inch rounds. Normally what Julie uses is a 10-inch, but I could only find the 8-inch at the dollar store, so I went with that, and it still turned out pretty significant. And I'm just using zip ties all the way around in 3 different spots to hold it together. So see how I've got that already attached? Well, now we're taking one of our 10-inch squares, and we are going to have the like the finished edge on the top and bottom, and then you're folding it into the center like that. And then I just turned it over and kind of overlapped onto the other side, so it's going to hide the unfinished edge as you go. So here I'm just trimming that off. So then you just gather up the bottom there, and then I used some smaller zip ties to tie it to make it easier so that when I place it, it's held in place. And I did that all the way around for each of them. And my hands are they're messed up from my arthritis, so I can't use these very well. So I had to use pliers to get them all tightened. But see, I just did that, and then you just want to overlap the other side and make it look like a petal. So then I'm putting it on the inside, the middle one, because if you put it on the outside, it won't hold, so that it looks, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It'll fold backwards, and then you won't even see the petal. So you have to start on the middle one there to hold the petals in place. So you just want to kind of go across the same direction on each petal so that they flow around the wreath the same direction, if that makes sense, and just tighten them pretty good so that they stay in place. So you want to do one on each of the little, I don't know, the 3 little areas there, so that when you put them all together, you can put 2 in between each of those sections so you don't lose count, and then it spreads out evenly. So I ended up doing the 3 on those edges there, and then 2 in between each of those sections, for a total of 8 all the way around, as you can see here. This video is a part of a playlist where you create sunflower themed DIYs. It is hosted by Lisa at Our Gray House and Sarah from Jujubee DIY, and the co-host is Brenda from Rustic and Lace. And if you're coming over from a playlist, welcome, and I hope that all of you will check out the playlist link down below. Thank you, and now let's get back to the DIYs. So it ends up looking like 16 petals. So here with the black and yellow, we're going to do a little different. So the finished edges are be on your left and right. So you take the left side and fold it up and make a triangle, And now just kind of gather up the folded edge and make a little petal. And just kind of shape it how you want. That way it kind of looks finished on both ends when you go to hook it onto your wreath. It ends up looking really pretty. And then you just grab your wreath, and this time you're going to go on that first row towards the center and just go underneath. I didn't get into like the rounded holes on the mesh that's attached yet. I will do that on my next go round. I was just trying to get underneath that first little bar and the plastic, and it wasn't working out too great, but I did it eventually. And just same thing, you want to go with the same flow of how you're doing your petals. So I finally got that darn thing under there. I had to put the petal down in order to do it, but this is how cute it ends up looking. You just want to make sure that it is in between each of those other petals that are on there, so that it kind of pops out, you know what I mean? So you're not hiding anything behind. So I'm going to show you that petal again. So the finished edge on both left and right side, take the left side, fold it up to the corner, make a triangle, and then just gather up that folded edge. And there is your cute little petal. And of course you can trim all those little areas that are coming out after you've done it or before, whichever, but it ends up looking really pretty. And again, you want to put it under that first bar and in between the other two black ones next to the one you just did. So now we're doing the third row in those the little mesh areas, kind of close by the lower level there on that last bar, and then doing the same thing with the yellow, same kind of petal, and putting it in between the yellow and black petals. So it kind of is alternating each row. You can see all the petals. And look how pretty it is already. And it's not even done yet. So now we're going to do the center part. So this is just a foam piece from the Dollar Tree, and they come with 2 in a pack. And I'm just cutting around the edges there so I can make it kind of more rounded for the centerpiece, and just, cutting that edge off of the ends there. So now I have these straight pins that I'm going to hook the rope down into the center. I got this on Amazon, and this is probably good for at least 3 or 4 wreaths. And I'm just taking the tape that was on it off, because I'm going to put that in the center piece. I'm going to put some glue on and then pin it down to the center. I'm not sure what happened to my footage, but I ended up putting all of it around like this, and I put glue. I guess I used a little too much glue in those areas, so I'm just touching it up with some black marker, which it hit it all really well. And I'm so sorry that I didn't get the footage of me putting it on, but I started in the center and went around and around and around in the circle until it was fully covered, and just glue as you go. So now that I've got all of those little marks covered up, I am going to put it right there in the center, and see, already super cute. But before I do that, I glued the back there and I pinned it down too into the foam so that that wouldn't come up. But now I'm just cutting some felt from the Dollar Tree to make just a little strip so that I can glue that to the back, because what we're going to do is glue some wire to the back and then it will be attached to the foam. Oh, and I'm on Instagram, so come follow me. So now I'm just taking a couple of those straight pins to hold that down so that when it is attached to the frame, it won't come off. I'm just doing them sideways so that they don't stick out the front, and just one on each side. And that was still hot glue, so I had to get the little finger cover there to help me out. And now I'm going to take each side of the wire and feed it through the holes in the center of the mesh. And I did like about, I think, 3 holes in between each side, just so it would hold its center, if that makes sense, if you can see there. And then I just tied it in a knot, and then I twisted it really good to hold it on there good. And then I ended up tying it on each side of the frame. Just wrapped it around and twisted it good so it would hold. And then I did the other side right here and did the same thing so that it would hold in there really well. So now I'm taking some more of that white felt from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting around the circle of the frame to cover the back of that mesh to make it more of a finished product. Give it a little bit of a more professional look. And just finishing it up here. And then what I do is, and you want to be careful, I use a sharp knife at the tip to cut a little hole in the center, just a tiny bit, and then I'm feeding the wire through each side, and I ended up tying it on 4 different ends to hold it all together. So again, I don't know what happened, but I totally lost the footage. I think I pushed record and I didn't on the actual bee part. But right now I'm making the wings, and I'm just using some wire and just making look like wings, and I'm using some more of that felt to glue on each side of the wire to hold it together. So I'm gluing this side onto one side of the bee, and then I'm doing a whole nother set for the other side. And as you can see the bee over there in the right side, I took these pom-poms, and I bought these on Amazon, and I took a large one and cut it in half for the bottom, then a black big pom-pom, and cut that into thirds and took the middle of that and stuck it for the center, and then another part of the pom-pom from the yellow on the top, and then a smaller pom-pom for the head, and I put some pieces of the other pom-poms on each side of the head to give it a little bit more like eyes or something. And so here is the way I'm making the wings again. So you can see I just made a loop and kind of shaped it out and tried to match it with the other set and do the other side too, just like that. So again, here I'm just making the other side with the felt around each wing. and then gluing it onto the other side. They turned out so cute. Well, I made 2 of them, but this one turned out really super cute. See? Just kind of want to form it, and then here you just want to glue it to the center, and it's completed. Well, here it is. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm pretty proud of this, and I think it turned out beautiful. Even though it didn't have that 4th layer of color, I think it still turned out great. And I actually sold it at a boutique this past weekend. If you've made it this far through the video, I hope that you will consider to like it, comment, and subscribe, and that will help my channel out a lot. Oh, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.